So I'd like to walk you through the way, at least for the first part of the semester, once we get into the free code camp JavaScript aspect of life. For several weeks, we'll be doing this formatting that I'm going to show you, but most likely we'll change it up and do this another way. So let me just go ahead and click into your day 4. So in this week, this day we start the free code camp JavaScript. So in the HTML and CSS, I just had you prove that you did the items, but now I'm going to actually have you code the JavaScript items. And so here, let me also click here. This is a Excel document that breaks down, at least for now. There may be some change in the future of this, but right now, and I will always give you a couple weeks notice if there's a change to this, so working a couple of weeks ahead should be fine. So what you can see for this day, which is day 4, these are all the items in free code camp you're going to need to complete. Okay, and this standard formatting will also apply when you do the JavaScript weird parts. The difference may be here is that, especially in the beginning, there's just more concepts. So I can show you what that looks like as well, because I have coded up some examples of that. So let me just go ahead and I'm on my Mac this time, which, it shouldn't really make a difference what operating system you're on. And I've already created the file, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what the file looks like. Okay, so here's what the file looks like. And we'll go over, I'm going to be somewhat flexible, but somewhat, please use some standard formatting here, right? So it talks about homework, what day it is. The first item is comment your JavaScript code. Okay, so where am I getting all this content? So what you want to do is, as you complete the items, right? So here's comment your code, here's the content, copy and paste this stuff. And the idea, and I really saw this going through, is that what you want to do, what I found helpful, but I'm not going to dictate to you how you do this, is really I read through the information and then I figured out what it wanted me to do. I would go over and do it, and once I ran my test and I knew it was good code, that I was ready to go, then I would create my HTML page that represented this. Okay, so that's my suggestion. If you do it the other way, I don't frankly care, as long as you follow some of my formatting requirements. So the idea here is that the idea is to give you muscle memory around just doing HTML first, and then having the experience of doing the JavaScript, and then keeping this, for your own notes really too as well. And you can even see here when they do show code examples, they wrap it in a little bit different styling. So we're going to do that similar thing in this. Okay, so let me just show this to go back here. So here's the code itself that I wrote, so my working code. So you can see I broke this down, like here's content I put here. Now this is the content that was from free code camp. Here's the comments, the instruction, the concepts you're doing, and then here is some more instruction, and then here's actually code. So I'm going to show you how I actually made this look like code. Then you have a multi-line, and then best practices and the instructions. So my actual working code, I also styled a little differently. So what I used, and I'll give you a link to this, is I use something called Code Beautify, and it's a really nice, simple CSS or JavaScript that has some CSS also in it, that you can use. So what you can do here is on your document reference this JS, okay, this item. So just copy and paste this. Matter of fact, let me just show you in my file how I set this up. So your script tag references that CDN. And then what I did is I created a style sheet. Now, what I did here is, because I knew that we were going to use this style sheet again and again and again, what I ended up doing is placing in the root of our repo local, and you'll end up publishing this out, is I placed a CSS file here, and then what you can see here is I referenced it so it would open that up. So let me just show you what I did here. Actually, I copied and pasted this as well off that same site. Okay, so once you set up these two things, pretty simple. So the external CSS and then the CDN, let me go back for referencing here, then it's really fun to be able to go through and you can see what I did is I did a header, right? And then I did a H1 inside of my header for that, what the item was. I did an article, right? And then under the article, I did a H2 for the actual item. So now this is from Free Code Camp. The P is for the instruction. And here's what you can see is a code. So this code then makes that look like code. And then here's more examples of code. And then H3 is to, determine that within here, actually that should have been H2 now that I'm looking at it. So I can show you how to change that. And then my working code. So some kind of hierarchy of H3s here. And then my working code, I used a class called Pretty and then HTML.js so that my code looked good. So I used an article, okay? So for each item I use an article. So again, I'm showing you my example. I'd like you to follow it fairly close. I will also provide you at least this first one so you can take a look at it. But I also want to show you something else. So instead of, and this is the way I did it in the editor, I ended up making my life a little easier. Well, let me show you. So for each item, once I started into using it, I ended up doing what's called live templates. And so I'm doing, and this is basically if I'm going into, oh, it's hard for you to see that, almost impossible, clicking on code, and then I'm going to insert live template, and I'll show you in a second how you can do this. And then I set up one called FCC, so Free Code Camp. So when I did that, which was really helpful, then it laid out the structure that I wanted to use. Right? Actually, that does make sense because it's H1, H2, H3. I don't know why my head didn't wrap around that correctly. Anyway, so this actually then shows you or gives you that pre-set up. This is the way you do it, and it just makes you more efficient. So I like that idea of being more efficient, right? So the other thing we could do, I think we could do it here. Let me see, L, right? So there is a way you could actually reformat your code, right? So you can see how this didn't, oh, actually what I'd need to do, oh, my bad, is actually select all the code so it would reformat it inside of there. And that's always good to know. I think if I just, let's see if I just select that. Right? So what it did is it reformatted my code in a proper indented way, which is really awesome. So it makes writing code easier. So let me just show you. So here's what I did is I went through once I figured out how I wanted it, and you can see I put just some template text. So H2 is the title, the instruction, the working code, right? And then how I would describe what the code does, and you need to do that, right? So actually I should just actually have had that just as a, just nothing in there. I don't know why I populated it, but now let me show you how to do this, okay? So what you'd want to do is under WebStorm, go into Preferences, and under Preferences you can find under Coding Style Live Templates. And then what I found under live templates is I could just add by hitting the add. And then what I did is I just went through and copied and pasted how the template would be. The template that I was going to use, right? So that it just makes, again, your life easier. You can put however you want, whatever naming you want here. I'm not going to obviously dictate that, but I'm just going to tell you this would be much easier. I found that once I did this, I got through these much faster. So in the beginning, it's going to be, it'll take a little time for you to get through, but trust me, the idea is that over time, your muscle memory will become much improved, and your productivity in that response will become much improved. Okay, so I didn't say it, so just to back up for a minute here, right? So we talked about several things here, but I did you'll want to create a new, right, from here on out when you're doing Free Code Camp or whatever your homework item is, right? You'll create your homework, and then you'll do the homework that is due for that item. So right, so whatever week and whatever day you're in, so that each day has a classwork and a homework. Each day, classwork and a homework. Okay, so that's good. I think that's a good way of work. We'll see if we'll see how it plays out. Again, I think over the course of the course, we will change possibly the way we do some of the classworks. in there. So by the way, so I didn't show this, but get status. So now that I've changed it, now what I'm using that looks a little different here is I'm actually using terminal within the editor. So I don't have another external application to do, but it's still the same process, right? Git add star, right? Git commit -m. And again, you can use those up arrows. Let's see, let's do week 2, day 4, homework complete. Again, the better those messages, the better it is. It's a good example to do that. And then git push so that it pushes that up to the repo. Okay, great. And then just like before, just to complete here, all right? So now that I'm on my student account, there it is, okay? So now in here, so this is day 4, right? So then what you'd want to do is just have this clicked on, select that, copy it, and then in Canvas, that's when you will submit it. Okay, just like we've done before. Nothing different there. All right, I hope this is helpful to you. I'm sure we'll be talking about some of the details of what I went over here, but I think it gives you a good start. Again, I don't dictate how you necessarily do it, but I do want you to use, some kind of, I think articles are good here. You could do sections, some kind of hierarchy as far as the H1s and the H3s. And you definitely, one thing I said for sure I'd want you to do is to use this pre-code, pretty print code, or what we are calling really our CDN for our run pretty.js, and then have the style sheet reference so that from here on out, all you'd have to do is take this base file, right, this, and then start your homework for each one. Okay, all right, talk to you later.